Hello, I'm Andrew Prell with Convergence. We're working on the Silicon Nexus project, and I'm actually here to talk to you about a few Medium articles I've recently written, one of which is the blockchain versus the VC, and the main one that's gotten the most coverage is the virtuous circle of a token-based investment fund. And I come out of the gaming industry. Actually, our passion from my whole team is the video game industry. And our roots go all the way back. Well, I clicked. There we go. Our roots go all the way back to early Atari, early Sega, early Nintendo, Namco. Basically, we've created many of the major successes in the industry in both the out-of-home entertainment market and the consumer market. But what does all this have to do with economics? Well, video games have had virtual economies for 20 years. They've had virtual currency for 20 years. And typical large video game platforms seem to be more complex than real world economies. So that's why Greece hired the economist that used to work for Valve. So we all know there's 7.5 billion people on the planet. There's 4.9 billion cell phones, and there's roughly 10 million cryptocurrency users. However, there's over 2 billion video game players, and we want to bring all of those to the blockchain because they like to play together, and we want them to play all together. However, these guys want them to play only on their devices. They put up these walled gardens, and as we know in the early days of the internet, walled gardens don't really work that well. So our purpose is to break down all of those walled gardens, to make this experience net to where all devices connect to all devices. And you can play from a cell phone all the way to a simulator in a theme park in the same game space at the same time. We're going to evolve it into an open source organization over time, but currently speeds on the blockchain aren't fast enough, and it'll take years to evolve from the centralized gaming networks into a decentralized organization. And I'm telling you all this to kind of set the stage on talking about a virtuous circle of a token-based investment fund so you understand the scale of what we're talking about here. So the consumer side of the video game industry, all wrapped around the dollar bill. And because of that, you've got the developers, the publishers, the equipment manufacturers, the players, and the media that are more concerned about themselves than everybody else and just getting that dollar bill. The out-of-home entertainment's the same way. It's focused around the dollar bill. And the cool thing, or the interesting thing about the dollar bill is it can't go up in value. And that's why they're more concerned about how much they get than what anybody else gets. We're going to wrap them all together and wrap it all around a token-based economy. And why is this important? Because it makes them all align to the same, Yep, come on. So one of the guys on my team, one of our advisors, is Kevin Backus, and he was one of the guys that created the Xbox. And he had a massive job ahead of him because when the Xbox came out, PlayStation owned the industry. They had squeezed out Sega, they squeezed out Nintendo, they had over 85% of market share. But the Xbox was coming out, and what Kevin had to do was take a pile of dollar bills, run around the industry, and buy up as much content as he could, or license as much content as he could to try to break through that monolith, which nobody else was doing. And eventually he found, what, anybody know what the killer app was for the Xbox? 100 million people bought the Xbox to play Halo. Somebody say Halo? Halo, yeah. 100 million people bought the Halo, or bought the Xbox to play Halo, and what did they use to buy that? They used a dollar bill. So, and it had a network effect for the Xbox, but it wasn't a full network effect, meaning the only one that was one-to-one was the Xbox and Halo, got 100 million users. But all the other games on the Xbox got 10%, 20%, 30%, kind of trickled down to all the other users. So we're going to do the same thing that he did, only we're using our tokens to do that. And why is this important? Well, everybody understands the investment fund process, or if you don't, I'll go through it a little bit. You've got to raise your fund, deploy your fund, manage the content in your fund, or your startups in your fund, and then hopefully you get an exit. We're going to use the crowd to help every single piece of this process, and it helps it exponentially. And it creates a virtuous circle around our tokens. So, like I said before, the dollar bill can't go up in value. So if we find our Halo, and we were investing with a dollar bill, the only thing we have is a great exit with Halo. Nothing else in our portfolio matters, because the dollar bill cannot go up in value. You might get users like Halo did to trickle out to everything else, but it doesn't have that huge effect. But if you use a token, and every piece of the investment is used by a the fund, the management fees, everything is paid in your tokens, a magical thing happens. 100 million people need to buy the Xbox through the token to get to Halo. What happens to your token? It goes up in value. What'd you do? If you invested in 100 companies, whatever the token goes up in value, say at 10x, you just 10x'd 100 investments. Not only that, you 10x'd everybody that's in your ecosystem because you found your killer app. So I was in a meeting the other day. I was brought in because of the scale that we're going to do on the blockchain. They wanted us to, a very large investment firm, I won't say who they were, wanted us to sit in on this investment that they were doing that was a foundational blockchain. I won't say which one that was, but they were obviously getting a lot of extra funds, did more than they needed to deploy themselves, and the question was asked, what are you going to do with all the extra funds you get? And they're like, we're going to take that cash, we're going to invest it in all the companies in our ecosystem. And the only question I asked, I sat there and I said, can I ask a stupid question? They're like, sure. It's like, why would you want to invest cash into those startups when you have this mountain of tokens? You should invest the tokens in them. Oh, well, they need cash, they need cash. Let them liquidate a portion of them as they need it, so they have their 12 months worth of runway, but they need cash. So you're saying your token's has no value? Basically in a token economic system like this, cash should be your last resort. I mean, it took you a while to run around and get the cash you needed, and if people are going to work with you that benefit your ecosystem, you should use your token, because it's far more powerful when they're using your token to get to any of the content or any of the pieces that work with you. It creates more churn, more value in your token. All boats rise together. So it's far more powerful that way. So as Brock and Crystal say, the new definition of a billionaire is someone that affects 1 billion lives. And we believe the Silicon Nexus project is going to affect billions of gamers' lives in a positive way. So this is how you get involved with us, and I want to have questions around what I was talking about there. The other thing I wanted to mention is we're going to have, Crystal wanted us to have a unicorn event at the Kentucky Derby this year, so if anybody can make it to Louisville, Kentucky the first week of May, we're going to have the Run for the Unicorns right before the Run for the Roses Derby week. So I'll back up. So I wanted to rush through that. I know I covered a lot of material quickly. What questions do you have about a virtuous circle of a token-based investment fund, or the other article that I wrote, which was blockchain versus the VC. And that's showing how we're taking our 37% of our tokens and breaking it up into 10 investment funds. I just got back from GDC where we did some incredible deals running around that floor, getting a lot of different. Yeah, what we're doing with that, with the rules of all the funds, is they can invest 10 million to 500 million tokens into any one project. Our tokens are obviously small in price, and to any one project, and then a follow-on of double that. But the developer or the game house is only allowed to trade for whatever they want to trade it for, up to 10% of their holdings a month. So that, in theory, will let them get beyond the 12-month runway that we want. And you never want to dump all your tokens on the market. That's horrible. That destroys your tokenomics, as you were saying. But if you restrict them and you let them get what they need to survive each month, then it really works. Because then you don't have to go out and peddle all your tokens. The people that you give them to can. Which really works much better in today's token economies. Anybody else? I rushed through this to get to the questions, and I have either done too good of a job, or everybody's like, I don't understand this. Which one? Well, my name's Andrew Prell. If you want to talk to me afterwards, we're not doing an ICO. We created a token. We've done private pre-sale, and that's all we needed to do. And from this point on, to get our tokens, if you aren't an accredited investor to come in, then you can buy it through the people that we've invested in. So, thank you much.
Anybody want to get in touch with you? Where do they got to go? How can they get in touch with you?
Prell at siliconexus.com. Or I'll have cards right out here, and you can reach me.
Well, what about your event that you have in Kentucky? Tell us about this. That's right there.
Yeah.
So is it going to be happening during the May 1st to Louisville, Kentucky?
May 1st through May 5th. Well, we're actually going, the event itself goes May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. We're going to do a bourbon trail on the 1st. Okay. Then the 2nd and 3rd is a conference and ICO pitches and a lot of incredible speakers. And then the 4th, we all go to the Oaks together, and then we have a unicorn masquerade ball Friday night, and then the Derby for everybody that can wake up and go on Saturday, the Kentucky Derby.
Get a ticket to the Derby? Or?
Yeah, everybody that's going is getting tickets to the Derby.
I like it. That's a great experience. If anybody not been to Kentucky Derby, it's one of the must-see places.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sponsoring, and appreciate it. Good.
Thank you much.